Welcome to the latest Smart Talk series. Today I am speaking with Rob Bromage, CEO of intelliHR. We're going to unpack a few different topics on all things HR, and I've watched Rob grow his company from a very small HR operation through to something now that's quite sizable and listed on the ASX. And it'll be great to unpack Rob's thoughts over the course of this Smart Talk discussion. Rob, here we are in Brisbane. We're just about to go to a lunch with the Federal Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, so that'll be quite interesting.
Certainly will be.
And in the lead up to that, let's talk all things HR.
Absolutely.
So before we begin, Rob, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Career-wise, probably now over 20 years in around the HR space, specifically probably the last sort of 5 to 8 years been very much focused on technology, so enabling businesses in around people and performance. So very passionate about future of work and tooling the future of work is where my interest and really where we focused on building our business.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to unpacking some of that with you today. And as a lead up to this discussion now, I've had some great discussions with Rob, and I thought today, as sort of an introduction, why don't we start by talking about communications within work and what your thoughts are around that?
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses are probably struggling with the change of communication. So the way we communicate in our personal lives is very much chat-based, very much video calling, very much instant 24/7, and businesses have probably not caught up to that. So, we've seen some really exciting technologies come into the workplace in around communication and collaboration. So, chat technologies. So Slack obviously being, one of the fastest growing in that space, but Microsoft Teams is really, making a very big, inroad into communication within business. So the way we communicate with each other is fast changing, which means the way we can actually collaborate and do things is speeding up. So just that in itself is changing business full stop.
And what role do you see HR playing in this changing way of communicating?
Yeah, well, I think the communication change is actually changing the way we organise our business. So organisational structures are less bureaucratic, and that network, organisational networks within business are really starting to surface probably more informally, just because people have more freer communication and ability to network and connect with people. So HR really needs to start sort of thinking about organisational structures and freeing up the way that people actually can work together. So I think you're seeing communication channels and new communication channels and collaboration really driving forward, self-organising teams and just the way we actually do work. So it's HR's role to think about that for the business.
Yes, and I think that's really a great segue. The whole way in which we work is very much moving to a team-based way of work. What are you experiencing from that perspective in the HR space at the moment?
Again, I think role design and the way businesses actually, put together, I suppose, their organisation. So, freeing up people to be able to connect with, people to actually get their job done, faster and at a higher level of quality. Today is also about innovation and creativity. So, accessing more information, more inputs, more opinions, and that whole notion of collaboration. So how can we actually get the right people with the right sort of skill sets, the right ideas, all in the room at the same time, so we can actually do things better and faster than our competitors. And today as well is about operating in a global market. So it's not just within your own country, your own city. It's to be competitive, you need to be a global business. So how do you actually harness your people and the creativity of all of your people to be the best you possibly can? Yeah.
And I think picking up on some of the things that you were saying there, we're very much moving from a hierarchical based way of working into that team based or networked way of working, and I'm seeing a lot of change around driving to an outcome as opposed to just doing something because it's the way we've always done it.
Yeah, there's a lot in that because one, there's always actually been an informal and a formal sort of structural culture within business, and I think what we're actually seeing now is the informal culture really taking over, I suppose, from those formal structures. So in part, you hear people talking about culture add versus culture fit. So we're looking to bring in talented people that are going to add to our actual business, and that notion is actually fueling the fact that we're actually looking to bring people together versus structure people in a way that we want to do things. I think the level of automation that's coming into business as well is actually meaning the type of work that we're actually doing is very much different. So instead of being a processor, stamp something, move it to the next person, we're actually creating something. We're using our brains. We're adding value to what we're actually working on. So the rise of the knowledge worker is really changing, and it's those kind of forces that you sort of package them all up, which means, well, we need to actually work with people differently, we need to treat them differently, we need to empower them, motivate them, and really take them along to a purpose. So, I think when you hear people talk about North Stars and, creating purpose and alignment, it's to actually, fuel that knowledge worker so they can actually create, collaborate and produce a better output for the business. So, yeah.
And I think, in my way, I would sort of summarise that by saying it's just about being considerate of the person and the personalisation that's required to actually just do something that's right for whether it's you, your organisation, the environment, whatever it happens to be. It's just taking it to a more human level.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and a lot of people are talking about the future of work being more human, and I think it's businesses recognising that we're in a totally new sort of age. So we've certainly moved out of the industrial age, from that perspective into the information age. But now you're actually seeing the age of augmentation coming through, where there is so much inputs out there, so much data flowing around. The world is bigger, and the markets we're playing in is bigger. So how do we actually process all that to make the best decisions? At an organisational level, we've got people scattered not only within our own cities, countries, but sort of globally. So how do you actually coordinate and pull all that together as well? So lots of challenges ahead for businesses to really enable and empower and take their businesses forward now.
Yes.
Yeah.